Joining us now, Punchbowl News co-founder and MSNBC political analyst Jake Sherman, senior writer at The Dispatch and MSNBC contributor David Drucker, and MSNBC reporter Nnamdi Egwuonwu, who joins us from Rome, Georgia, which is Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. All right, Jake, where are we at today?
Same place we've been, Katie, but I will say, there's something interesting that happened this morning in a House Democratic caucus meeting. House Democrats got a poll. They're oftentimes presented polls, and the poll indicated that by a 2-to-1 margin, basically, voters preferred that they keep on fighting for health care instead of opening the government. So while we hear all this discussion about maybe this, maybe there's going to be an off-ramp, maybe something's going to happen, the leadership in the House is presenting Democrats with this polling that indicates that they want them to keep fighting, and they're insisting that they keep fighting. Now, the House is a bit of a sideshow at the moment, or not much of a show at all, because the House has passed already a CR to keep the government open, obviously, until November 21st. That's sitting in the Senate. We know all of that. But this gets down to the guts of the matter. There's all this talk about spending deals in the Senate, that people are looking at spending bills and talking. There are rank and file members talking to rank and file members about spending bills. At the heart of the shutdown, Katie, is the fact that Republicans in Republican leadership does not want to extend these Obamacare subsidies, and Democrats do. And that's the hang-up. It's not a spending debate that we're in the middle of. It's a debate over health care policy and over tax credits from the COVID era for Obamacare. Now, the political impact, of course, you and I have talked about this many times before on air. I don't see a situation in which Republicans do not get the blame, as Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying, if premiums spike. I don't see how that's possible. I understand that Democrats put it in place and it's expiring. I get all of that. But I don't see any scenario in which this is not laid at the feet of Republicans over the next couple of months.
So, David, I mean, we have up on the map the places that rely on those health care extensions, and they're largely pretty Republican. They're deep red. Look at Texas, for instance. The deeper red you go, the more people you have that rely on these Obamacare subsidies. So why aren't Republicans, why don't they want to get this done?
Well, because as often happens, Katie, with government shutdowns, they begin ostensibly about a disagreement over policy, and they quickly devolve into a battle over power and who has it and who doesn't, and how the parties in Washington want to present themselves to their voters. So the reason the shutdown continues, despite the vulnerabilities and the hardship it is causing more and more Americans, is because on the one side you have Republicans who do not want to compromise or capitulate to the minority party because of the signal that would send about power. And on the other side, you have Democrats who initiated a shutdown, something they have been against on principle to achieve policy aims for decades, for quite a long time, because their base demanded that they fight Donald Trump. And their base is still sending them signals that they're pleased with the fight. And I'm not dismissing the politics around this, and I'm not dismissing the incentives. That's up for people to decide. But I'm saying we have to look at the political incentives that exist and not the political incentives we imagine exist.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And Jake, I'll ask you that. Usually when these things end, it's because both sides find a way to claim that they won. Is there a version of that reality for this particular debate?
I'll say this. Republicans have screwed up a lot of shutdowns before, and they've screwed up parts of this shutdown. But there is, in my view, and I'm sure I almost called him Drucker. I'm sure David would agree that there is an offer that's out there that John Thune had on the table for a long time, and it's an easy off-ramp. It would basically give Democrats a vote on these subsidies on the Senate floor, let the chips fall where they may, and then an agreement to start discussions around the future of these credits. That is the offer that's on the table, which Democrats have rejected, because what Democrats want, and I understand their position completely, I totally get it, is that they want in this deal guaranteed ironclad text in the CR about these subsidies because they say, well, we can't trust Republicans. If they don't do it in the bill that opens the government, they're never going to do it. And I get that point of view as well. I completely understand that. But the reality of this, the politics of the situation, again, as David said, you got to deal with the Congress you have, not the Congress you want. The Congress that we have right now has a speaker who doesn't agree in the extension of these subsidies, a Senate Majority Leader who doesn't agree to the extension of these subsidies, and the vast majority of the House Republican Conference, which also doesn't agree with the extension of these subsidies. That's the Congress we have. I didn't make it so, and the chips are going to fall where they may on this, too. The politics are going to be what the politics are for Republicans, and Democrats understand that, and that's why they're trying to sideline the congressional leaders, sideline Johnson and Thune, and appeal to Trump. Trump needs to get involved. We want Trump involved. We want Trump at the table, because they think Trump will cave. And I'm not sure he won't cave, by the way, Katie. I don't know. He's unpredictable. He has said he wants an agreement, but their position right now, Republicans, is they will only talk when the government is open. And I'll say this, Republicans believe they're winning. They believe they're winning this messaging war. So at this point, neither side has the incentive, although the structure is there to get out of this should both sides want at the same point of time.
Yeah, it just is going to depend when both sides start feeling or when the pain gets too great and who it gets too great on first, I guess.
Could be next week, though. Could be next week.
President Trump is on his way back, so he could sign something once he steps foot back on this in this country. Nnamdi, tell me what you're hearing from people out there in Georgia. I mean, it's Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. She has been very vocal about the subsidies. She's not happy with her leadership, a thorn in their sides. What are you hearing from folks there?
Well, I can tell you, Katie, I didn't hear anyone upset that Marjorie Taylor Greene has been sounding the alarm over her concern about these subsidies. A lot of the people we spoke to said it'd be just another cost that is getting costlier for them during a time where they're already struggling. Some people here are already struggling with food insecurity, already dealing with higher grocery prices, and now the prospect of losing access to food assistance benefits like SNAP, like WIC. We are in a food pantry in Northwest Georgia because we wanted to take a look at how the people who could be most vulnerably impacted by this shutdown are responding to all of this. And one thing a volunteer told us that stuck with us is that this is already the busiest time of the year for them. And with the looming, essentially, cutoff of some of these food assistance programs, there is concern about their ability to deal with the now influx of people that are going to be coming in to access more food assistance or who may need this pantry. So take a listen to how one volunteer described the current moment we're in.
We see all kinds of people come. We have people who are ill, who have special needs because of their illness or their treatment. We have people who are financially challenged, people with a whole lot of children or elderly people, just hungry people, a lot of them. For the last few months, I think our numbers look like they're climbing, and new people, that have never had to come.
And do you have any concerns about health care costs potentially rising this year?
Sure. I think everybody does.
So just to paint a picture of what the SNAP situation is in Georgia specifically, in this state you have 1.4 million people who utilize SNAP. That's about 13% of the state population. Of that group, nearly 70% are in families with children, nearly 30% in families with members that have older adults or disabled adults. So it's an issue that resonates with a lot of the people we've been speaking to here who say whether it's food or insurance, the last thing they want right now is to see their cost rising.